Hello, everyone. I am Shelly Dressel, and I'm here to channel the adjusting. Oh my goodness, is it Mercury retrograde or something? Well, anyway, I'm here. This it just cracks me up, all of the little things that can be going on. Now, so not really a huge change, but I did want to say that I am making a little bit of changes in the channeling with the ULBs. I have been coming about every other Wednesday or so, and that just is, so a couple of months a year, maybe three. It ends up being 3 times in a month. Sometimes, it's just all random days. So I have decided that I'm going to channel the Universal Light Beings on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of the month. Today is the 2nd Wednesday of this month. For those of you that like to follow the Goddess of Creation and her channeled meditations, that is on the 1st and the 3rd Mondays of the month. So you can just go into each website and you'll find that information on the homepage. I haven't put it in there then. I mean, how long have I been doing this? For years. And it just popped into my mind today. And I thought, okay, that's a good idea. I should do that. So anyway, it's not listed on the homepage, but for those of you that get my email, I did talk about it in the email. Now, that being said, if this is your first time watching, please be sure to subscribe, do that notification or whatever. I channel these live streams on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. And then you can go back to my website, crystallinetransformations.com, and that's where you can find all the different channels that I do. So for this one, it is the Universal Light Beings, and that includes ALBAYON, that's from Arcturus, BRYSENTIA, who's from Pleiades, and then Crystalia, who's from the Omniverse. Now, Crystalia, as I've said before, came from way, 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 way far out in the universe. Sometimes people call it the, not Metroverse, or the, there's something that the Marvel movies called it that was different. And I don't know. But anyway, she's from very far away, and her energy is more of a blend of a totally different universe. And she came into this group as a part of bringing love and the frequency of love and the experience of love into humanity. So that's her purpose. And when she talks about things, it's very different. It's also about the crystalline energies, the crystalline vibration. And so hers take on things is not always as spot on, because she has never really been part of the earth plane. She's only been with this since, I guess it's been about 9 years, 2016, I believe it was, when I started channeling these three. And prior to that, she had not been in this universe. She had no concept of what our earth plane was like. Okay, you know what? There's only one comment in here, and hello to you, Terry. Good to have you in here from Maine. Just want to make sure that it is streaming okay on the other 2 platforms. So maybe if you're in Rumble or YouTube, that would be great. So the last time we got together, it's easier for me to just look at the questions on this paper, because this way I can just look straight down and read, and I'm not going here streaming up and down, which was a lot more grounding to me. So I posted it on Telegram, Facebook, in the email. Well, I've got like 25 plus questions that came in. And so I think some of these questions are going to be integrating it in what they're talking to us about, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I'll just try to go through with each one of them to, okay, we've got Rumble in there. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it, from Denmark. And then now here's YouTube. Awesome. Perfect. Just like to make sure, because you never know. Sometimes it looks like it's working and it's not. Now, we're having I don't know about where you guys live, but here in Atlanta, we're having massive rain this summer, which is awesome. My yard looks great. But earlier today, it was thunder and lightning. So I'm anticipating that everything's going to be fine. I put the energy in there in my modem that everything's going to be fine. So if there's a glitch or anything, just hang in there and I'll be right back in. From Mexico. Awesome. Good to have everybody here. I really appreciate it. Okay. So I'm going to be doing the second and the third. Now I'm going to be on vacation. I leave 2 weeks from today. So there will not be a second channel, in August. The next one after this will be September 10th, and that'll be about a month from now. And then, and it'll be posted in the Crystalline Transformations. So for those of you that are interested in doing more private work or have any questions about that, you can look at my websites. I am goddesslight.net and crystallinetransformations.com, and that'll just give you a lot more information. Okie dokie. Well, I am just going to jump in here then. Take a deep breath. I am hoping that, got my trusty pen ready, that this will just get easier and easier and easier for me the more that I do things like this. I was thinking to myself, making me laugh. I was a nurse for 45 years, and I was like, I need one of my nursing clipboards so that I can write on it and not have to do it on my computer that would shut my computer down or something like that. But we shall see. Greetings. It is I, ALBAYON. I come to you at this time with my love, my light, my energy, and whatever updates that I can give you. Number one is I see such a change in humanity. I see a change in that so many more people are way more awake than what they used to be. Now, when I look at the earth and when I look at people and I see those that are awake, it may still be in people's unconsciousness, but to me, it looks like there has been a shift. There has been a really conscious shift that has moved things into the consciousness. Now, what someone considers awake and what another person considers awake may be two totally different things. And by that definition, there are many, many, many people that are walking around here that have an awareness, and it may just be as simple as something's changed. I am not the same. The world is changing, and there are still a lot of people that go down that rabbit hole of the negative, but but that's something that'll just transition out. We just need to give it time. And a reminder that the more that you are in your vibration and in your frequency of love, light, the highest potentials, things that are happening that are going to, no matter what it is that's happening, no matter what it is that's going on, that it is going to work out in the highest light vibration. Now, if you look at the last couple of weeks since the last time that we talked, there has been a great deal of disclosure. Not all of the disclosure is coming through, in fact, very little is coming through mainstream media. And so there are still a number of people that think until it gets to mainstream media, it's not really happening. But I disagree with that. The more that people are talking about things in the background, and even if it is in the background, and they're sharing information with each other, energy is energy. And so that's putting that information into the consciousness of humanity. And so it is having an impact on humanity, and it is having an impact on not only each one of you, but the earth plane, the alignment with the universe, and even those that are in the universe that are working with you as humanity. So just focus on that. Be aware that that is making a change, and that there is a great, great, great deal that is going on. Now then, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is, sorry, I just downloaded too many different things into Shelly. So I've got several different topics that I want to talk about. And I don't know if she said it or not, but be aware that some of these questions that you asked may be a part of what I'm already talking about. So we know it's happened before that because it wasn't a specific question listed, people said you didn't answer my question. So be aware that some of the questions you sent are what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, as you're here, as you're in this vibration, as you're in this frequency, there is a big distinction that's coming about, not only with AI, but also with the way that people are posting things. Many of you that are in here that have been following us for many years, and again, we all thank you for that. You heard things 5-6 years ago, and now it seems like it's coming up again, and you're thinking, wait a second, that's all old news. Well, be aware that there is a great deal of information that is circulating, and it does seem like it is old news, and many of it is old news, but it's being reposted because there is a need for all of those that are just newly awakening and newly aware to hear things. And it's impossible for everyone to put out every bit of information all at the same time. So when there are these little nuggets of things that others might think is really important, they say, hey, I'm going to post this again. And you think, oh, that's something brand new. And it's not brand new. It's something that was said many years ago, but it is going to be brand new to some people. And so it's important for people to understand that. Now, I think that if you haven't already seen it, that many of you will start to see, especially in the next few weeks or so, that some of your loved ones, especially those that have been closed down, are going to start saying things like, it just feels different. There's just something different. I'm just not, I've been hearing this information and I don't know what to think about it. So my point is that is one of the ways in which humanity will awaken. So yes, this is a spiritual awakening. That is the foundation for every single thing that is going on. And spirituality, as we're talking about it, is about your consciousness. It's about your link into your soul. And it's about that growing awareness of thinking independently, thinking in a way that discerns what is truth and what is not truth. And especially until you get to the far side of this, as AI continues to grow, to creep up, you could say, into more and more things, there is going to be a lot of, okay, sorry, let me download. Give us a second. Okay. There are many things that are being shown that is actual AI. It is actual false information, but it looks so real that people are thinking, is this for real? Did this really happen? So going back to where I was talking about things that were actually said multiple years ago and coming up again, some of that is being translated into AI, and it is being shifted and misconstrued or put out there differently than what it originally was intended for. There are still nefarious ones around. And here's a very interesting thing that I would like to say. The more that there are people of a high light frequency on the earth plane, the more that light is shining on people, the more you're going to see those that were sitting back, that were just waiting their turn, that were not actively working for the nefarious ones, are now shifting and their true light is coming out. So there will be people that you'll see that you thought, oh, I thought they were a good guy, or, oh my gosh, they did so much good. I cannot believe this is happening. So you will begin to hear things like that. And the truth of the matter is that most everybody is somewhat good, somewhat bad. That's a duality that comes with the earth plane. But the key is, where do you lie when it comes to, are you service to self or are you service to other people? And that can show itself in many different forms. So one of the reasons why it seems like there are way more nefarious ones now than there were before is because these people, let's call them sleepers, these people that were sleepers, that had the illusion or the appearance of being something that was helpful to others, they're now awakening, or they're now being triggered. I do believe that many of them are MK altered, and I do believe that many of them don't realize that they're actually shifting and that they're actually working for something that is not to the benefit of all. So I'm just saying, be aware that there will be some changes that are coming up. Be aware that in much of the disclosure that's coming out, you're going to hear things and you're going to think, oh my goodness, I didn't know. But this is the explanation for why it seems like there are so many more negative things that are going on than what there were even a month ago. It is all temporary. It is all what is weeding out the low vibrational energies. It's all what's getting rid of what needs to be gotten rid of, but you can't get rid of those that are sleeping because you don't know who they are. Now, when we talk about the white hats, we talk about a massive, massive group of people. Each one of you listening here are white hats because you're in this vibration, you're in this belief system, you're in this energy, and that's what you put out to the collective consciousness and with those that you communicate with. But when you just kind of go down and you follow it up and you're in the place of those that are people that are in leadership, and leadership can come in many, many different forms. But when you're in that space of questioning or awareness or who's doing what, this is where I'm speaking about that there are multiple more people that are coming out that that this is what is being exposed right now. So when it feels to you as if there's so much more negativity than what you thought before, I don't know if you can hear that thunder, but it's just rolling, 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 the kind that goes on for about 10 seconds. Anyway, when we're talking about these people and when we're talking about what's going on, some of them are being triggered by activities that are happening in society. Some of them are being triggered by like frequencies that are being let out at a certain level. And even though it may seem as if there's a lot of negativity right now and that there's energy that's pulling you down, be aware that this is truly, truly, truly the end of it. So the question remains, well, how long can this go on? Is this going to go on for years, or is this going to go on for weeks, or is this going to go on for months? It's going to go on for several weeks, if not several months. I believe it's going to go on for at least 3 to 4 more months. There's going to be a massive change coming into the earth plane. It's going to first come in September with the equinox, but at the end of the year in December, when you have the solstice coming up, that is going to be a significant change in the energies. So a lot of this stuff needs to be weeded out, and it needs to be gotten rid of before the equinox, the solstice in December. I don't know what that date is, what, the 20th, 21st, something like that. And because those of us that live out here in the universe, that's how we go by things, the equinox and the solstice. And it's only as we come down into the earth plane that we get into your days, your weeks, your months, and your way of discerning time. Okay, so I've talked about AI just a little bit here, but I do want to speak more. AI has got to get to the place where it is going to be very much a part of your everyday life. Up in the universe, we use AI in very unconscious manner. It's a way of connecting, sometimes through our consciousness, sometimes through our typing, sometimes through telepathy. We connect to AI in many, many different ways. And you are now in this process of integrating it into your everyday life. And it is still very much in the new beginnings format. However, this is a place where it is critical. And so I wish to say to you that when you hear some of these things coming out about what AI is doing and how it is being used and how it's going to be used against you, that is a potential. And I'm positive that sometimes it has happened in certain degrees. In fact, that's a big question here. But that if you have someone behind the computers and the programming and the editing and all of that stuff, that they're deeply into the negativity and into the nefarious means and into the nefarious energies, then your AI is going to reflect that. But you are now in the space where there is more of the white light, more of the high vibrational frequency. So that too is having an impact on the AI as it is being developed. So here is where you really, really, really have to use your discernment. And so one of the questions was, various platforms have stated that AI keeps track of your chat, the posts that you make, social media, things that are on your own personal computer, things that have to do with the apps on your phone. And with all of this data that is being collected, that, you know, from your financials and with the data that is being collected, and then people scanning your eyeballs, all these different things that are being done, that are being stored by AI, is that going to be used for negative purposes? And the answer to that is, if the primary people that were in charge of all of this were going to take all that data and then turn it around, flip it around, use it to control, manipulate, keep you subverted, then yes, that's exactly what that would be used for. The reason that people are afraid of this, and the reason that people are talking about it right now, is because you are coming out of a place where that control and manipulation was one of the main reasons that they started using the ways that they started tracking things through your cell phones, through your computers, through the data. That has all been started and initiated by the nefarious ones. But it is going to shift. It is not going to continue. And so there may be a period of time where the perception is that they are gathering this data, they are using it against you. But I do wish to clear up that from my belief, from my perception, and I'm talking to the people up on the ships, I'm talking to the people that are in charge on the earth plane. I'm looking at the energies. I'm looking forward, well, in the now moment, and I'm looking forward. And I do not believe that they will ever control people and say, you have X number of credits to your name. You can't go here. You can't go there. You can't drive more than 15 minutes. All of those things were what was intended had the New World Order taken place. And so when these things are happening, when they bring up this information, people are being triggered in their mind, and they're hearing, oh my gosh, this is how they're going to control me. This is how they're going to keep me from being able to live. And the answer to that is no. It's that it will have that perception. It is gathering information. But when you go back into the computers, and when you go back into the people that are in charge of it, and who's going to have that information, then it's going to be by those that are neutral. They're negative. It's like these massive AI computers that we have in the universe. They're neutral. They don't think good, bad, or in between. It is just data. And that's all that AI is, just data. It is not a soul. There will be a certain amount of consciousness that goes with it, but it is not a soul. It is not a being. It is just data reflecting back to you the data that was put in. Now then, as for ways that you can block this, ways that you can keep this from happening, there are many things that you can go search for, that you can find on your computer, that you shut down certain apps or you shut down certain things. And in doing so, it will keep it from monitoring you as much as it will. But there's this, it's a very legitimate fear that people have, that they're going to be controlled, that they won't be able to have freedoms, and that their freedom is going to be removed. But I wish to say that in my perception, I do not see it going that way. And that just popped into my head. One of the things I believe that we saw was, is there going to be another shutdown? And the answer is no. The world is too aware. The world is too smart. The world knows how much of that was created under control and manipulation, and they will never let that happen again. So if you see that, if you buy into that, if you step into fear, you're feeding the negativity. If you see that, if you read it and you say, oh, people are still talking about that, I'm going to shift that into something that will not happen. That's the way that you yourself can work with that energy. You can transition that energy so that you can help it move forward. But be very, very aware that as far as the AI goes, it is really, truly in its early stages, and you will use it dramatically and a part of your everyday life in the years to come. But right now, it's still building its foundation. It's still gathering information. And it's really important to understand how it is just information, and it is what anyone does with that information that that has its impact. So then as I'm looking at it and I'm asking the question, well, do the nefarious ones have access to that information? And the answer to that is yes. And then the question that comes right on that heels is, well, if they have access to it, are they controlling it? Are they manipulating it? And the answer to that is they are trying to, but they don't have enough resources. They don't have enough people. They don't have access. There are a few in key positions, and they're trying their best to take over and to get rid of the white hats or those that are there for good, but it's not going to happen. So that's why it may be that you see spikes in things that you think are, that someone's abusing your information. But on the whole, it is protected. There are so many ETs that have come down. There are a group, well, a large group, because they're all over the world, and where these mainstream computers are that that hold this information or that have this information, they're protecting it to keep it from being completely transitioned, completely abused, and completely taken out of control. But because it's in a process of transition, that's why you may still see things in your everyday life that would reflect that you are that it's still being manipulated. So the more, again, as we've said before, the more that you put forth that intention that there is clarity, that there is white light, that there is stability, then the more that will take effect. So what is manifestation? What does that mean? Manifestation is creating a vibration, creating a frequency that is in alignment with what it is you seek to have. So even though we're talking about billions of people, we are creating an alignment. We are creating a frequency that is in alignment with a foundation of love, a foundation of compassion, a foundation of working with other people, and a foundation of exposing the truth of what this world has been like so that you can never have that happen again, and so that you can move forward. Okay, so that was one of my big points that I wanted to talk about tonight. So another thing that is coming up, and people are asking about the place that's known as Gitmo. I know that Shelly is like, we got to be careful here. So I'm only going to say it that once, and I'm going to refer to it as G from here forth. I'm going to just stop for a minute and look at it with the consciousness of this now moment, and without the influence of other things that have been in the past and the perception of it. Oh, very interesting. So when I tap into that word and I go to that location on the planet, it's a massive facility. There's a great deal of it that is underground. And when I tapped into that, I saw all over the world, associated with almost every major country, not just the United States, I saw something similar or something in alignment with this, where they have brought these people that are the nefarious ones, and this is where they have been processed. Now, I am reiterating again that those that were the worst of the worst were literally removed from the planet, taken out of here, and taken into an entire different universe. They're nowhere even in this universe. The only ones that are in the G place at this point are the ones that have been like several steps down. There's a lot of talk about the former president, and that they're going through regular places. That's just to get people's attention. It is not going to go through the courts. He is one of the ones that has been already removed, as has many of the other people around them. If you look at the people that are playing them as actors, you will see subtle differences. And some they're so different. It's like, that's not even the same person. No way. So there are many of these people that have already been processed. They've already been taken out, but they will have the GTV, I think someone had said, that just slipped into my mind, so that people can watch how these trials took place. There will be many people that will think it was controlled and it was manipulated. But the truth of the matter is it was all done very legally. It's just that the laws have been subverted. They have been changed. They have been, this is all part of what was lied to you. And so everything has been done legally. Everything has been done the way it needed to be done. And so the vast majority of those at the upper levels have already been taken care of, and they are already gone. So some of the ones that you see remaining here are the ones that have, that were, what do you call it? They have somebody that is playing, like an actor that is playing them. You've all seen those masks. They're incredible. And unless you really knew, or the vast majority of them, unless you saw them taking off their mask, then you would have no idea that that person is who they are. And then as for the actors that are playing them, sometimes it's very well-known actors, sometimes it's not so well-known actors. But be aware that that is what is going on here. We say it every single time we come in, but because this is such a transitionary time, we feel like it's important for us to reiterate it every single time. The light has won. Period. Everything else that's going on is the playing out and the last vestiges of the darkness. The light has won. They've already done it. It's all over. And if they had not been able to do so, then you wouldn't be here where you are right now. None of this information would be coming out in all these backstories. None of this information would be given to you. None of you would be able to be here in your highlight frequency if it was not already complete. So let me just say that flat out. I'm hearing someone say, why didn't you say that at the very beginning? Well, everything has to be said at the right time when you're in the right place. And for me, it was this explanation of what's been going on the planet. And in order for you to get where you are right now, so that you will know for yourself that this is already done. So the question is, when are they going to show the G, and when is that all going to come up? Let me see. I felt very strongly like it was going to come up this month of August. Here's the problem. When you start looking at something that has not yet taken place and it has the energy of right now, but it's not happening right now, then what that means is if everybody keeps saying, push it out, not yet, next month, next time. So I'm not going to say next month. I'm not going to say 2 months. I'm not going to say anytime. I'm going to say that I see it as already having happened, and the disclosure of it is coming out right now. And so the right now energetically may be a week or 2 weeks or a month down the road, but it is very much so. By the time you get to the equinox in September, there will be massive changes that have taken place on the earth. Okay. So that was one of the questions. What is happening to the previous president that begins with an O? And he's gone, but they will show that. Part of the reason that they're bringing it up in the court system right now is to show the corruption of the courts. It's to show the corruption of the courts, and it's to bring them into the judicial system. And then they're going to slip in and say, by the way, here's the way that you work with traitors, here's the way that you work with crimes against humanity, and here's the way. So it had to come forth in a way that the citizens of the United States, especially those that are not yet awake, it had to come up and be presented in a way so that it could get people's attention, and then things would slide in. Now, there are going to be many of you that say, well, that didn't happen with the other trial that just finished in June, and that didn't happen. And that it's so funny because we still see, even though you are here on this timeline, and even though things are weeding out, and even though things are transitioning, there are these subtle things. Like when we looked at that trial, it was all disclosed and it was all put forth, and that was the opening to go to O. So that was not the reality that played out on the earth plane in this consciousness. That doesn't mean it was one over here and 180 degrees over here. That just means slightly off. It was being more gentle with the humanity. But the time is coming that you just have to take off the Band-Aid. You just have to. You just have to. You just have to move forward. And there is no other opportunity. Okay, let me jump into these questions now because I know I've been talking for quite some time. Julian Assange has put out an extensive message on X about, trying to keep times, about that 85% of the countries have complied with Nasara Jasara, and that EBS is ready to go around the 15th or sooner. Is this true? And will the EBS finally be happening? And I'm going to tag on to that. Somebody else said that they had seen a statement that said people are going to be, at least in the US, I'm not sure of the world, $2,000 around the 15th of August that was coming in from the IRS to support this time of what's going on. So let me look at these two things because they feel like somehow they're aligned with one another. Very interesting. I talk about the EBS, I think, just about every single time that we get together. And when I'm looking at the EBS right now, I see a blank space. So I'm thinking, what does that mean? Why is there a blank space where the EBS should be? And then as I continue to look at it, as I continue to send light into it and say, has something changed? Is there something different? I got this very strong sense that it is going, it is activated, and they have converted things. So when we look at that question of when is the EBS going to take place, and when is the currency going to transition? When is all that going to happen? It feels like it's been done. And again, maybe that's coming back to those very subtle differences on the timeline, because like on this timeline, everybody already knows, everybody's aware of what's going on. And then the predominant timeline in which people are still living that hasn't quite lifted up to that higher frequency, I'm getting a blankness. So I'm going to take a minute and just shine a light into that the disclosure comes out. It comes out on every single level. It comes out in every single way. And that change in the currency, that revaluation, that going back to the gold standard, that everything associated with that happens, and that everything goes into that space, and that it's known. It's just known by everyone. So as I'm putting that in there and as it's illuminating, that gave me a very distinct perspective that yes, it's up and running. Yes, things are going. Yes, the quantum financial system is actually in place, but someone put a cloak over it, or someone put a film over it so as to disguise it. So if there's anything that you read or that you feel or that you sense or that you wonder about, then just continue to send the intention into it. All is known by everyone. This is disclosed to everyone. There is a light shining as bright as can be into this energy so that everybody knows and everybody is here on the same page. So I truly, truly believe that there is a great deal of it that is out there that is being disclosed, but it needs to be brought all together in a nice, tidy package and given to everybody else. Okay, so this person, I didn't have it. I had it kind of tacked on. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at this again. It said that, is Vice President Vance resigning due to family reasons? So let us look at him and see if that's going on. So he was always very controversial. Many of you in this setting knew about his background through his college, through previous businesses, through previous things, that he was not necessarily a part of the white hat energies, that he has done nefarious deeds, as has his partner. And it feels as if information comes out about all of that. Now, that being said, my perception of him and BRYSENTIA's has been that he either A, was already taken out sometime in the past, and the person you're seeing is an actor playing them, and that was going to go forward for the years to come. But B, the other option is that he has known that this was coming. He has known that this was going to somehow come to light. And the sense that we may get is that he will be one of the ones that will be identified as being a part of the nefarious deeds. And it's going to be a way of explaining how it was in the universities and just like where this is coming from. That will be one of those things that will shock many, many, many people, because the person that is perceived as him has seemingly been doing a very, very good job at what he does. But when I look at this and when I see the energy, that's what I see, that old things are coming back up, and that this was all done intentionally as a means of bringing out what's been going on. It is also a way of telling a lot of people that you just don't know who's been a part of this, and you just don't know who you can trust, because they wear a mask, or they put forth an illusion that's not necessarily the truth. Okay. I have family in Spain, and things do not look good with the current government. When will a drastic change take place? And it looks like they're implementing the central bank digital currency. So that makes me wonder, is the central bank still around? Because my perception was it was down. So let me go look at Spain. Spain has a lot of ancient energy that is associated with it. And when you look back and when you go into like the cellular memory of Spain, there were many, many, many dramatic things that took place, going all the way back to what you call the prehistoric time. And it has been a time of transition. There have been many that were a part of nefarious deeds, not only in this current time frame, but in like several hundred years ago, thinking of the Inquisition and thinking of other things. So this is a place that has been peeling away layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And it feels as if those that were associated with what you call the monarchy or some of the government, it feels like they've already been taken out. So what we have left is a facade, and it does feel like they've been going through the motions. Okay, there was another question on here about the UK, and when is the UK going to change over its government? And were these people that have been coming in as, you know, as these Muslims that were immigrating there, or the illegal aliens, as they're oftentimes known as, were they all part of ISIS? And is it that group that's been going around? So whether the name is ISIS or other names that you currently know, Hassad, they have all been part of the same organization, and their intention and purpose is to take down the government of whatever that location is. So when you see this in these multiple different countries in which they're there for a reason. They're, to take down the government, and they want to take over, but they're also there to stimulate the people that live there to step up, to not go along and comply. And this is a big, big, big form of awakening. And people have tried for how many years now to awaken in a soft and gentle manner. But if people are not going to awaken in that way, then distinct, strong, hard, line in the sand type of experiences have to happen. I'm seeing it in Spain. I'm seeing it in Europe, in like Germany and other places. I'm seeing it in the UK. So many, many places around the planet are having this type of an experience as a means of forcing the people, not forcing, but the people in all of these countries have got to stand up. They've got to come together. They have got to understand that it is their job. It is their responsibility to speak up for themselves and to implement these changes. So in the U.S. and overseas, these many places where they have installed their governors, their different people in levels of or positions of authority, that is not going to stay. That's not going to last. That is going to come down. But it will come down when the people start speaking out against it. And it will come down when this wave of energy that is going around the planet goes into every place, and it raises the vibration enough, and people are 100% aware. So I do not think that the central bank, the perception is that the central bank is still in England and Spain and the EU and different parts of the world. And the central bank has essentially been dismantled in every place. And as a part of the quantum financial system, as that becomes activated, as people become notified, then that is when there will be digital currency, but it will not be digital currency based on the central bank, because the central bank will have been deactivated and removed. So just kind of keep that in your thoughts, keep that in your mind. And so no, especially by October, there will be many, many changes that will have taken place by that time. And I do not see that the central bank currency is going to become a part of the national. Will the current president of Mexico fall as a result of Trump's attack on the Mexican cabal? No, because the president of Mexico is working with the United States to bring down the cabals. The president, there are two presidents, it feels like, in Mexico right now. There is the true one, and there is one that is like a facade that seems to be going along with the cartels. Yeah, that seems to be going along with the cartels. But especially when that access into the United States was shut off, so then they started looking at other ways to get things in. They started looking at other countries they could invade, and they started looking at other things. And what that's doing is, I see that that the cartels are going to be dismantled. They are going to come down, and it feels as if, I don't know, I just keep seeing two people standing there as president of Mexico. So perhaps one is in the background and one is the facade. Or yes, that one will be taken down, and there's somebody that's there that's ready to step up, that's ready to step in, that is going to be strong enough and firm enough that the cartels cannot buy their way out, and they cannot continue their reign of terror. So that will be, all of this is in alignment with the very low vibrational frequency. And as I said, it's not completely gone. It's not completely out of here, but it is greatly diminished from what it used to be. Okay. Disturbing news is circulating from Truth Podcast here in the UK. Okay, I just answered that one. Okay. And today's urgent report, what may have waited years. Okay, that the RV is live as of today. So I'm talking about the RV, but yes, it feels like the RV is live. And yes, it feels like it's been live for several days now. And my perception is that they have it up, they have it running, and it's going to be running. So then when they start to talk to people about it, they'll say, well, it's already up and running. And you will begin to notice these changes in your banking system. You will notice these changes in, whatever your what do you call it? System that you use for your financial associations. But yes, it feels to me like it is up and running and that it has been for several days. When I go back and I say, was it August 1st? The answer is no. Did they go up on the 8th? And the answer is they started it and they completed it by the 9th. So it feels like it was the end of last week was when everything was up and live. All right. Med beds. Oh, I love the med beds. So the question here is there's been talk about there being a soft rollout of med beds that are this year into next year. Are the med beds on my ship still available? And what are the other options for physical healing that are coming out soon? So the med beds are coming in multiple different layers of awareness. There are many different alternative healing practices that are available to you right now. And some of them are like the precursor to what the med beds are going to be. The med beds are going to be the very extensive. They're going to be the time that we'll do the age regression. They will be the time that will heal everything, no matter what it is that you have going on. And so there are many places around the entire planet that already have them. They already are up and running. And most often they're being used on people that are coming out of the tunnels that had problems. A lot of those, I would say 80 to 85% of those went off planet to be healed up there and to just get out of the energy so that they wouldn't be figures of pity, you could say, or, so that they wouldn't have a stigma attached to them. And in doing so, there are still going to be those that are on the planet, and many of them are people that are already disclosing to you, here's the people that are behind this, here's the abuse that's been taking place, this is what's been going on. But there will be more of that information that will come out. So those that are going to be talking about it are going to be the forerunners, and those are very strong people that will have the energy and the strength to do something with that. But I digress. You can go up on the med beds. They are present on my ship. They are always present. In fact, I would like to say that I have expanded greatly the number of med beds that are there because more and more and more people are coming to it. And I know that there was a meditation about it that Shelly had put out, or that I had given Shelly a number of years ago. And someone said, well, can that be updated to the new energies? And we can look at doing that. We can consider doing that. But the med bed is incredibly powerful, whether you're sitting in one physically or you're going to one energetically, because it's about the cellular structure. It's about the cellular energy, and that cellular energy can be impacted through your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your everything that is a part of you in your everyday life. You can create the healing that you need to have, and just be very aware that as a tendency, people say, okay, this is what I'm seeking to manifest, this body that is pain-free, this body that is disease-free, this body, whatever it may be that you are seeking to have. And then by going up into the med beds that are on my ship, that just puts you in a different state of really expanded consciousness and a very high vibrational frequency. So there are many, many ways that helps you to be able to, what's the word I want to use? Integrate it or receive the healing much more fully. There's also that belief system in humanity. Well, if I go to the if I go to ALBAYON ship, it's going to be more effective. But you can be in your own meditation, in your own room. You can ground this into whatever location you would like it to be. And you can bring all that energy down. You can bring it into your physical body. You can work with your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your spirituality. You can work with all those many, many levels. And you can create that healing here on earth. Will it be the same as when you sit in an actual physical med bed or lay in one? No, not 100%. It can be, and it can be very, 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 very close, depending on each person's individual acceptance of your abilities, acceptance of whatever it is that you may go through. You can have massive transitions and positive effects from this. So begin the med bed right now. Don't wait for something else, because if you put forth the energy, well, I'm waiting for the med bed, well, then you will always be waiting to be healed. And you could have healing experiences that happen right now. So I am healed right now. I am in the flow of energy and light right now. And that's what helps you to manifest it right now. Okay. Okay. I know there are more than one Trump on the scene, and some are making him look bad. Can you tell us what the real Trump is and what's really going on? So, good question about that. Going back to my AI, there are many things that show Trump talking, and there are a lot of people that are just your average people. Okay, let me stop a second. When it comes to the AI and the many different things that are happening with that, there are many large teams of people that are very highly, highly evolved. In fact, many of them have at least one point, whether they're conscious of it or unconscious, have worked with the universal beings about how to work with this AI and how to maintain it. Just as I said, the universal beings have also come down here to work with it. So that is that level that is directly impacted. So then you have step that is out from that. And then all the way down to each one of you that can go onto your ChatGPT, your Gemini, your whatever form it is that you want to work with it. And so in the middle of that, you have millions of people. No, it's not. It's really not millions. Well, okay, it's millions of people that can work with that can work with AI, that can generate different things. It's a much smaller number that deliberately generate things or generate impressions to pull your heartstrings or to try to teach you something. And many of them inside that, they'll entrain a vibration and a frequency that causes you to feel bad. So we have said it over and over and over again that the DJT that is in power, that is the president of the United States, cannot be tainted. He's got a lot of the ET in him. It just is what it is. That's just not up for discussion. So if you see him in a video and the perception is that he's being bought out, or the perception is that he's doing nefarious deeds, that is all AI generated, and it is generated by the nefarious ones with the clear intention of trying to wreak havoc in your society. And for so many, it also goes right along with the fact that they're still trying to bring down society with like this consciousness around him that people just buy into without really thinking or really looking at what's going on. So I wanted to share that up front. There is DJT, and then there is one body double. And so that's it. And they both work hand in hand every single day. They both work, like one is primarily in the White House interacting with other people. Well, the true is the one that goes on all these big trips, that goes to these different places. He's the one that's signing things. It feels as if there are times when the one that is the double, as you call it, may sign something, but then the true one comes behind it and like he's signing something that looks like it's that, but it's not. But then the real one signs it immediately afterwards, or, like within that day or so. They move the real one, if need be, is in Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, and there's also deep underneath Mar-a-Lago. Those are the two primary places where he is, but then he can move underground from wherever he is to the White House or to wherever it is that he needs to be, and he can get there in minutes, very, very quickly. So truly only two. And if you see more than that, and sometimes, like when you look really closely, you may notice that one's a little bit more hunched over. One seems to have a heavier face or neck, and the sense that we get is that for those that really seem to know, or if you just open up and ask, "Who is this?" But they're hand in hand, and they're almost identical. And no, it is not someone, it is not a clone, it is not anything like that. It is a real person that works hand in hand with him. Okay. All right. So believe it or not, that was the 2 pages of questions. And I've talked for a very long time tonight. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I truly appreciate it. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, BRYSENTIA. And I thank you, as always, for this opportunity to be able to speak with you. I know that ALBAYON can frequently be very technical, and I know that he had a lot of information for you today that is helping you to understand exactly what's going on. One of the things that I want to share at the beginning of my time of talking right here is the cycles of life, the cycles of consciousness, the cycles of your history on the earth plane. There is a great deal that is being discovered. Some will be artifacts that have been hidden deep for many, many years, some as much as 1,000, 2,000 years. Others are things that have been hidden underneath the certain structures that have been present on the earth plane. So as this disclosure comes up, as people begin to, so whenever we say disclosure, everyone automatically goes to, oh, it's political. No, there is going to be a great deal that will come out in the days and weeks to come about the ways in which time has been warped and time has been modified, the ways in which your history and things that have happened in your history, because the earth plane has been through about 4 primary big cycles. And in each one of those cycles, they went to a very ascended, expanded energy. And then whoop, they started over again. And so this is one of the reasons that we have said over and over and over that this time it's different, that this time it's the star beings are here in support of you, and they will make themselves known, but they're not doing the work. We have a huge number of people that are on this planet right now that are doing that work of ascension, of awakening, of knowledge. And as soon as everything comes out, it will suddenly be as if you're looking back and you think, oh, I think I lived there. Oh, I think I was part of that. Already people can sense when they go to different parts of the planet and that maybe they haven't been to before, and they have that sense of familiarity. Well, the way in which your soul has lived multiple different lifetimes on the earth plane, you visited some of those times. And a great deal of that was disconnected from you as a part of the veil when you came in through the birth process. But as all of this is being released and all of this is being cleared out, when you go to certain places around the planet, you may see something and it may trigger a memory or a conscious awareness that helps you to understand, oh, when I lived here, this is what I did. And so this is one of the ways that your history is going to be revealed. Tartaria is the one that so many speak about right now, and that is because there are a group of people that were deliberately, specifically from Tartaria, and they're the ones that have been on all the various social media and that they have been talking about it. But that is not the only one. When you talk about Gobladek in, I think it's Turkey or Hungary or something, Dobladeki, I forget the name of it. When you look at that and you think, why did people live in the ground? The earth continues to pile layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon itself. And this is just what happens through evolution. That's why when you see people like finding something and they're digging down, like you go to Egypt and they're digging down and they're like, so much of these pyramids are underground. Well, at one point they were not underground, but the evolution and what happens, especially when you go through a new phase on the earth plate, it's as if this massive wave, you had the massive flooding. And I mean, we're talking to the point where multiple meters or feet high were mud flows that just everything was contained inside of it. There are certain places when you go to certain parts of the world that you see that people were literally at their what do you call it, at their table eating dinner, and then as if they're still there and ready to take a bite, and whoosh, something came through. So that is one of the ways that it added more layers of awareness. There have been times in which the ice caps have melted. It's never melted 100%, but that's what caused a great deal of the flooding. And so as that flooding settled, it left sediment. So this is the way that there are layer upon layer upon layer that was added to the earth plane. And I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but when you look for the history and when you look for things that are from the past, that is why you look inside the caves, you look inside the mountains, you dig down to the deeper level. And there are so many pieces of equipment now that will help you to be able to look like those X-ray LiDAR, that can help you to see things and help guide people when they are looking for this history. But as this illusion is completely removed, a lot of this is going to come back in the form of your consciousness as they take off the illusion of how the control and manipulation was perpetrated by the nefarious ones so as to subjugate people. That is another way that suddenly this opening, this great awareness will come. Now, I do want to say this just popped in. Do you recall, I don't remember who said it, but the last time that we got together and they were talking about this group that came from the Middle East, and we were talking about how they had implemented, they had put people in stations all around the planet, especially multiple places in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Canada, in the United States, and many other places. And that what was behind it, there was that satanic energy that was behind it. So many of you went in and did energy work with that. And just as there were so many that have been taken out from the originals or the nefarious ones, the high-level nefarious ones of the cabal, so too did they follow a separate pathway, because people will say, well, the cabal was satanic. No. You're talking two separate things. So just as that has been removed, the satanic energies have been removed. So when I'm looking at this right now, it's like I see these people and I see them. They're still as, what's the word? Not heretic. They're still just as rampantly in their belief system, and they're still antisocial, and they still have, all of those negative energies around them. But not to the degree it did before, when they were being forcefully infused with an energy that was directly being put there. That was really getting them ramped up. And I don't see that energy feeding them anymore. I still see them there. I still see them doing what they want to do, but it doesn't feel like it's, what's the word? There's a word I'm trying to think of. Maybe if you think of it, you can put it in there. Anyway, that's what I wish to share with you. So when we say that they are going to slowly come down, they're going to be removed, they're not going to be able to wreak all the havoc that they have been wreaking, because it is going to be removed. And this is the first time that I have looked at this and I've said, oh, There's not that fanatical, that's the word I'm thinking of, that fanatical energy behind them anymore. Because a fanatic is someone that believes what they believe. There's no right or wrong to it. They just believe it. And they, that's all they do is work in that. So that's really good news, because that's saying that there has continued to be clearing out. There's continued to be healing. There's continued to be transitioning taking place. So many of the NPCs are these people in these places of power and in these places that they've set themselves up to. So I do believe that they'll just kind of go blah, 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 blah. They'll just kind of dissipate, and other people will be ready to step up and ready to get into their place. Okay. So what else did I want to speak about? As this planet continues to be in this ascension spot, in this ascension place, in this ascension evolution, in this ascension awareness, it's really truly becoming a very magical experience. And what I mean by that is that as each one of you continues to open up in your spiritual growth, in your spiritual awareness, you're beginning to recognize that, oh, I'm more than just this person living in the earth plane. I'm more than just this person that's having this experience now. I believe that I'm actually out in the universe. And I believe when I'm looking at the stars and I'm looking at the planets out in the universe, maybe I'm living on those planets too. And this is a part of the spiritual ascension. It's that spiritual consciousness that you are more than just this lifetime, that you are more than just being here and present in this energy. So it's important for you to know that. It's important for you to have that understanding. And therefore, as you move forward with this, you will also then have that recognition as the star beings to continue to come in. There are more and more people that continue to talk. I believe we addressed it last time about a big ship that is coming into the earth plane. And I'm looking at it to say, is it one of the motherships? And it feels as if it is not one of the motherships, but it is very close to the mothership. So it's giving me pause that maybe it is yet a new ship, another new ship that is coming in, and they're going to be shifting out the energies that are around the planet, these several motherships that are around the planet. So what we mean by that is that the more that the vibration of the earth plane is in a higher, lighter frequency, the more you're going to be able to see these people on these ships, the more you're going to be able to have that experience of yourself out in another experience. Now, I don't see that people's soul consciousness will be able to have that experience of living simultaneously with full consciousness between the two at this point in time. But in the not so distant future, things like that are going to open up so that you will be able to have that experience, so that you will know who you are in these other life experiences. So that's leading me to one of these questions, and I'm looking for it. So that I can see how it was something about, here we go. Do we have soulmates that are on other planets or just on Earth? I feel as if I have one and it is on a ship somewhere. And so the question that this person has is, do you have soulmates only on the planet, or do you also have soulmates that are out in the universe? And the answer is, you have always had soulmates in multiple different levels of consciousness. So you have always had people like sometimes it's an aspect of your soul that's living out there. You may be feeling that and you think, oh, this is my soulmate. But truly what is happening is it's a piece of your own soul that's living out there in that experience, and it's communicating back into your soul and coming back into you, so you can feel this presence and you know, oh, look, this is someone that's out on the ship. Now, the perception that you may have is that it's someone else, because that concept of, is it really me or is it another aspect of me, versus that concept that it's somebody else and we're just connected to each other. six of one, half dozen of another. I guess that's the phrase that people sometimes use. And I say that because at this point, that distinction is so thin and it's so far out there at this point that whether it's your own soul that you are feeling or whether it's a different soul that is still connected into you, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. What is important to know is that if you make a connection to someone that is one of the star beings, whether they're on the ship, whether it's something coming in, no matter what it is, that is a deep alignment. And it's something that is very, very, very worthwhile for you to strengthen. And it is something that will help you grow in your own spiritual growth. And it will help you grow through your understanding that they are bringing to you through this experience. So yes, the answer is you can have soulmates. They can be out in the universe. They can be out on these ships and you still can communicate with them. Sometimes you may do so in your meditations. Sometimes you may do so in your dream state. And especially in your dream state, that could be a time when you go out there and you're actively living and experiencing life with this individual in that awareness. So it's really important for you to keep an open mind. And in doing so, everything is just going to bring you more awareness, more understanding, and it's just going to expand everything that is in your consciousness and in your awareness. And that leads to more of the ascension process taking place with humanity. The climate lockdowns on the Maritime Province, is this a cabal move? So the Maritime Province, I believe that's something up in Canada. Let me look. It does not feel like the cabal. It feels like they're taking out some underground passages, and it feels like they have brought things to a halt temporarily as a means of minimizing the potential for others to get hurt. It feels like the perception that people have is that it is done by the cabal. And the question that I have as I'm looking at it, was it initiated by them and then taken over? Like, were they trying to go in there and do nefarious deeds and then it got taken over? The energy that I see right now is that, yes, that is a potential that it could have started that way, but it feels like it's coming towards the end of what they were doing, but it feels like it's a cleaning out of the dumps. It feels like they're taking them out completely. And it feels like there might have been something that happened that like a collapse of something and a flooding with waters, and that's when they stopped everything and they shut things down, and they're fixing it so that it's not dangerous to those people that live there. Feels very temporary, and it does not feel like it's going to last too much longer. Is there anything that we could do to assure that the particular timeline where everything is done and dusted before the next solstice? Great question. I think we have a little bit tapped on this prior to now. And the things that you can do is anything you do that keeps you in a higher light vibration is going to benefit not only you, but the consciousness of the planet and all of the other people on the planet. If you want to go so far as to connect up into the energy, the Namasika room, we've talked about that. It's a space, it's a level of consciousness, it's a place and time where many, many people can go that want to work with the collective consciousness, that want to work with humanity, that want to work with all of this. And so you can go there, or you can just set your intention in your meditation that you are here to help clear out as much as can be done, so that by the time the equinox rolls around, or the solstice, that as much can be cleared out as is necessary, and that it allows to integrate more and more and more as is possible. So 100%, that's something you can do. Okay, next question. Are they really cleaning up our food? This is in the United States. This is in the United States, and because that's been one of the things they've been pushing this year. Yes, they are going to clean up the food. Yes, it has begun, but this is a massive, I don't know, complex is the word that's coming to mind, because this has been done through so many different levels. It feels as if they've started, that they've made good inroads, but I don't understand why they couldn't say everybody has to do this effective immediately. I believe that there were certain things that they said, Everybody has to do this effective immediately. But then there's going to be another wave, another wave, another wave. So is it improving? Yes. The sense I get is that it is improving. Are you going to see it? Gosh, I'm stunned. So much food is in reserve. So it's like all this bad food or compromised food is just sitting there storing. So they're in the process of making new food and new products and new things that are going to be the better quality for humanity. And then I do see a lot of that is just going to be wiped out. That's where someone, okay, sorry. I had this image of this big, huge warehouse going up in smoke, and it felt like that was the way. Oh, you're going to use your reserves. Well, we'll get rid of your reserves. You have to use something new. So it does feel as if it's trickling out, that the changes have begun and that they are in the process of moving things. And so what feels like it's little by little by little right now will become a tidal wave. And by the end of the year, you will see significant changes in the food. And this fake food, this plastic food that's glued together and it's truly, truly fake, that looks very real, that is going to be 100% removed. And all of those scientists and all of those people that they're so proud of themselves that they can manufacture food because there's such a shortage of food. There's really not a shortage of food. There are many, many places all throughout the planet that have wonderful agriculture, that have wonderful place to grow animals that are in a healthy, humane way. So there is plenty of food, and that scarcity is one of the belief systems that needs to be released. That scarcity is what goes along with the fake food, that there's not enough food, so we got to create it ourselves from scratch. And so that will be, it's already in the process of being dismantled, and all of that they have made will be removed and taken out. In fact, there will be many, many that never even saw it or experienced it. And when they hear about it, they'll think, oh, that never happened. That's not true. But you guys know that that was true, and it is true, and it is in the stores right now. So pay attention to what you have, pay attention, and just make sure you get the best quality that you can. I have seen podcast describing the radical Vatican reform. So much so that I question the validity. Can you update us on the Vatican? So one of the things that I do want to confirm is that the gold has been removed from beneath the Vatican. It has been removed from Israel, from Switzerland, from all of these places where all that gold was stored, and it's been sent back to the countries of origin from which it was taken. So there, the reform that's coming about in the Vatican is definitely taking place. And when this person says it seems so radical, or how valid is it? I believe that there are many things that are accentuated and said to be more than so as to get people's attention. I feel like a lot of this is what already took place before the Pope passed. He'd already been taken out way before that ever happened. So this new person that is in place, who also feels like he's a different person than the original, but he's there. He knows what he's doing. He knows that he's a transition, and he knows that this is going to be the dismantling of this corrupt system that's been in place. And there are many religions that will transition dramatically. This is one of them, but yes, there is great changes that are taking place. So I don't think that a lot of this is invalid. I think a lot of it is valid, and it is a way of letting people know that these changes are not only coming about, but have already happened. Okay, situation in Canada, Saskatchewan, and how things are going to go through the winter here, especially in Saskatchewan. But that might be... So Canada, UK, Europe, Spain, all of these countries that we see are experiencing what the United States was experiencing 4 years ago. And it's a facade. Just as so much is taking place, and just as they've been rolling everything out in the U.S., when a great deal of this information comes out, it's going to be said, this was also happening in our country. These are the people that were nefarious in our country. And there are already people to step up and step into place to transition everything to something better. Looking at this winter, looking at Saskatchewan in particular, I see a lot of light. I see a lot of energy. I see that it's going to be very different from where it is right now. So that's telling me that all of these changes and transitions that are going to take place will be before this winter rolls around. Feels like this is one of those that is very cold, and a lot of snow, and a lot of and there's been just a lot of, underground things that are going on, but it does feel like that's all cleared out. The climate lockdown. Okay, I already talked about that one. Maybe I had it in there twice. How long are the weather modification machines going to be going on? And then how close are we to the first arrest? We already discussed the first arrest, which is all long time ago. They will just discuss it probably going forward this month. The weather modifications that have been going on worldwide are going to be here for an indefinite period of time, but they're going to be less and less and less. There are still chemicals that are out there, and every time that we take out a group of people, someone else steps up. Those movies about the minions, as they call it, where they just keep coming. That's a true example of what the cabal has had. They have their minions out there that are doing these nefarious deeds. So we clear out whoever's been manipulating. The next level rose up. I will say this, they're getting to the last few that are going to be able to step up. And when they clear out one and they start looking around saying, okay, who's next? And there's nobody there, then you'll know it's done. And we are getting very, very, very close to that. So the weather manipulation is still taking place, but it feels to me as if it's getting less and less and less. And some of this is stuff that was programmed many, many years ago, as much as 10 to 15 years ago. Many of it was, was scheduled 5 years ago. But anytime something gets triggered or anytime something happens, the white hats are doing their best to step in to minimize any problems that will come of this. There are still a lot of changes that are taking place. There are the dumps that are being cleared out. There is just many, many, many different things that are happening. And as a result of that, you will see changes in the weather. So it's not just necessarily that someone went and programmed to have a tornado take place. So some of this has to do with the normal weather, and then it gets amplified. Some of this has to do with something that was manipulated. Some of this has to do with the clearing out that's been going on, and it's triggering that as a secondary or tertiary response. So it's got multiple different layers to it, but it is coming to an end. That I can say. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. It has been my pleasure to be able to talk about these many things. I am so very optimistic about everything. Believe me that transitions upon transitions upon transitions have been taking place for such a very, very, very long time. You have all done a very good job. You are doing a very good job. And I know that you will continue, because this is just such a pivotal time on Earth. Trust in yourself. Listen to your bodies. If you need to sleep, sleep. If you need to rest and take a day off, take a day off. If you need to process whatever it may be, just listen to your body, let it all happen, and know that this is all strengthening your intuition, and everything is here and happening as a means of assisting you as you move forward in this. I see so much soul in people. I see so much light on the earth plane, and it is a glorious thing to see. So keep hanging in there. Keep manifesting that which is in your highest and best interest. And before you know it, you'll be saying, gee whiz, that was a terrible time, but we're beyond it, because you're this close to being there right now. Thank you as always. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Crystalia. Woo, Shelly's pretty tired, so I'm probably going to speak pretty quickly today. But just as she was saying, BRYSENTIA was saying at the end there, she sees such light. Just as ALBAYON said, it's done. You've completed it. You're just figuring out the last ends of things. Look at the people that are screaming the loudest. Look at the people that are, they are showing their faces. And when something comes up to you and you think, oh my gosh, did they really do that? Yes, they did. So the more that this light energy permeates into all of society, understand that all of you are going to see the truth in everybody that you come into. Be aware that you may be walking through the grocery store and you think, oh my goodness, who is that? And that can be someone that's really filled with a lot of light, or it could be someone that's very, nefarious or has a very low vibrational energy. So it is all about your own personal strength and awareness. It is all about manifesting your soul into everything that is you. Because when I look at your soul, when I look at you and I can see your actual soul and all that beautiful light energy, you are huge, you are massive. You've had thousands of life experiences that have created that essence. So what comes down into you as the person that you are is but a small thread of the energy that is you as your soul. It is magnificent. You are magnificent, and you are each so much stronger than what you think you are. You each have so much more discernment than what you think you do, and you are making a massive difference in all of this transitioning that is taking place. So I invite you to honor yourself. I invite you to respect yourself. I invite you to understand that these many, many changes taking place are because of you. Okay, now one of the things that I remember that I had really noticed when I started coming into the earth plane was how many people decided their value, their self-esteem, their life worth, their whatever it may be, by what other people were defining. And your whole planet went through this place where the definition of value was very, very, very skewed. So as this transitions, as each of you are stepping back into your truth, your reality, and that which was that very skewed perception of what is truth, when that leaves, many, many of you will suddenly be inundated with this huge, massive light that is your own personal soul, your own personal essence. So understand that that is you. It's you. And understand that it is going to give you a new way of looking at the world around you. Instead of being in a frequency where you focus on the problems there are, you will suddenly find yourself focusing on the joy and the light. Now, there are many, many of you that are so accustomed to focusing on the negative. You can have all that light coming in and it may seem like it illuminates the negativity, but let it illuminate whatever it is that comes up to your perception. And if it is something that needs to transition, then transition it. Be very aware that in this higher light frequency, when you put forth an intention and when you step fully into that intention, the energies are so transparent around you that you can make a change much more quickly than what you used to be able to in the past. So be aware, be in the space of love, be in the space of high vibrational frequency, because you are the ones that are anchoring this. And it's a very exciting time. I'm going to jump into just a few questions. This weekend I was in Reno and I went to an ice cream shop where there was a man and woman in there. The shop looked different. They looked different. And I'm wondering, were they galactic beings? Because even the ice cream tasted very different than what it normally did. Yes. These were galactic beings, and this is how this is going to work for many of you. It is going to happen that the people that you see around you are, you just look at them and you think, wow, they just feel so good. There's something different about them. How many people have been saying that about you? There's something different about you. There's something that I don't know what it is, because people will notice that about you, and you will notice that about others. The galactic beings have always been in and around you in your society. They have always been living with you and and they have always been a part of everything that is taking place. But the more that you're in this higher vibrational frequency, the more you will recognize them for who they are, because now you have a context. You have a context to understand what these galactic beings represent. You have a context to understand what that high frequency is to you, because it's that type of thing where you might have seen them, but you didn't really see them until you could see them, because you were vibrating at a higher level yourself. So, so there will be more and more instances where you're going to recognize that there's just something different about that person. I'm not sure what it is, but it is absolutely going to be your galactic friends, your galactic family, and they are there coming in to actively support you. So great question. Thank you so much for bringing it up and giving me this opportunity to let you know, yeah, start paying attention, because it does make a difference. Why do we still have days of very high vibration, and then why do we have days of very high vibration and then low days of being very tired, closed, depressed? The lows feel lower than what they used to be before, because now I know what the higher vibration feels like. So this is the way that anything happens when someone is going through an ascension process, whether it was the entire planet or just each of you in your own personal life. As you move through this ascension process, you're never going to go into a place and then stay there 24/7. You're going to fluctuate, because you have your mental body, you have your cellular memory, you have your environment around you, you have your emotions, and all of these have been accustomed to looking at you or living your life as you, and looking at the society and the environment around you. So therefore, that's the perception it has. And then you start consciously and unconsciously, you start bringing in these higher light vibrational frequencies, and it starts lifting you up, and it starts giving you a new perspective, and it starts helping you to look at the world and see the world through that higher vibrational energy and frequency. And as you do so, you are cementing yourself in a new reality with a new experience, with a new vibrational energy. Therefore, the more that you are in that vibration, and the more that you have the environment to support you, your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, environment, your physical, your cellular, the more that that is there to continue to support you, the less you will be dropping down into the depression and the other energies. So do not be hard on yourself. Understand that up and down, especially as this is a new process to you. And even for those of you that have been on this pathway for 15, 20 years, even 30 years, you can still have times when you dip down into that space, but you probably notice that you dip down there and you stay there you dip down less often, and you stay there a shorter period of time. But the time of everybody being the consciousness of the planet needs to still raise to a higher level in order to keep people from dipping down. You have too many people that are still down in that lower vibrational energy. And so that's what pulls everybody's energy down. So then if you just happen to be in a space, you might get sucked into that, and then you make a new choice. You come back up, you raise your vibration back up, and then you get back into that place that feels better. But just as they were saying before, I think BRYSENTIA mentioned it, if you need to have a day that you just stay home and do nothing, stay home and do nothing. If you need to have a day that you just sleep or you read a book or whatever it is that you do, understand that you are nurturing yourself. Now then, if you get pull down into that and all you can do is fixate on the negativity, all you can do is fixate on all the pain and suffering and sorrow, then you have to really make that conscious choice to lift yourself back up, look at something new, clear out whatever cords or hooks or energy was pulling you down so that you can stay then in that higher, lighter frequency. But another great question, because it is so common for people to have that ebb and flow, especially as this might be new to you, but most especially as it's happening in a whole entire planet. Okay, and then let's see here, 137. Are we in our own separate realities? According to Bashar, how we react to our situation and people around us is mirrored back to us in the same way. I know that we have talked about this individual, Bashar, and the energies always feel very limited when we tap into this individual. So the statement of we are reflected back by that which is around us, that's a true statement. But it feels like, and this is, I'm just realizing as I'm talking about this, how much this goes into the question that I just got done answering. So yes, your environment. So the question that they're saying here is, do you see your environment as it is because of the people around you and your own personal growth? 100%. That's absolutely true. You see things because of who you are as a person. And this is when it becomes so important for you to go into meditation, for you to clear your energy, for you to ground yourself, for you to have experiences that you really bring down your divinity and you let that become a part of your everyday reality, because then you can be in that same exact situation, meaning I have the same job, I have the same family, I drive the same car, but everything will look different to you because you are shifting your awareness and your perspective. So, so the question of your reality is your own personal reality, but then there is a certain amount of that that is still connected into the collective consciousness. It is still a part of everything that is going on, not only for you, but for the entire planet. And the more that you get into these higher vibrational frequencies, it's that link into the universe. So nobody is totally alone. No planet is totally alone. And this reflection of what each of you may have, it is actually quite complicated and has multiple different levels in which it's experienced. So very exciting times, and the awareness that comes from all of this is very interesting, not only for each one of you, but the interaction with the universe and the interaction with your star friends. It is all connected, and it is all 100% moving towards bringing a greater and greater amount of light and balance into the earth plane. So trust in yourself, trust in this energy, and know that I am always working with you. As a matter of fact, I am starting to work more and more, sometimes through Shelly's channeling when she works privately with people, but many of you are reaching out and asking me to come in and help you. So we three are all here. We're all available for each one of you. We are here in service to the planet and the planet as a whole. But if there is something that you need, then we are here in support of you. Thank you for this opportunity. Know that I'm with you on Saluia. Whew. Wow. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot of information, a lot of stuff. So I am dead. But this is Shelly again, for those of you that don't know. But thank you so much for being here. I know these are super long when I do it like this, but and I know many of you have been here the whole entire time. So thank you for that. I truly appreciate it. This is very exciting times that we live in, and these changes are just amazing. So keep the faith, stay in the light, and know that we are not alone. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get together September 10th. And between now and then, I hope you have a wonderful month. Bye-bye. Okay, where's this end?